So, Darrick, we're only now a couple of weeks out from your third UFC fight. How has camp been so far?
Man, camp's been great. It's actually probably the longest camp I've ever been away. It's the longest camp I've ever had out of all my fights, out of 37 pro fights, man. This is the longest I've ever had. So it's been great, man, working with James Krause and the crew down here at Glory MMA for the last 5 weeks. And now we got about 2.5, 3 weeks till the fight. So yeah, man, just last stretch way, So
Yeah. Can I ask, let's just touch on your last fight very, very briefly. 52-second submission over TJ Laramie in your first UFC win. What did that victory feel like for you?
Man, it's a crazy feeling, for a guy like me who has as many fights as I've had, and the way my career has went, and I've fought the who's who on the local circuit. The majority of those guys are in the UFC now, and that just, it proved to me what I knew all along on where I belonged and where I was gonna pick up wins at, and that's in the UFC. And yeah, it's the first one, but it's not the last one, and that was. Yeah, man, it just proved all my doubters wrong, and even myself sometimes, before I got the call to the UFC, I didn't know where the hell my career was going. Right before I got the call to the UFC, I was 24-10, man. And, not a lot of those guys get in the UFC, and I'm glad to be here. So.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. And going into that fight, as you mentioned, you had 35 pro fights. Can I ask, did you ever expect your first UFC win to happen like that with such a quick finish?
Maybe not as quick, but I have a lot of guillotine finishes, man. I have 10 guillotine finishes. So, it's not unexpected that way, but not going to lie. That's what we thought was going to happen, man. We really, James Krause is a mastermind, and we knew at some point that was exactly what was going to happen. We didn't know when, but I thought I was going to get TJ out of there in the first. So.
Is there something about the guillotine choke that you like? Is there something that works with your body? Why have you got 10 guillotine chokes on your record?
Man, I just, when I started out at a garage gym with a bunch of bigger guys. And I think that, like, from my wrestling background and stuff, like the front chokes, and then I just got good at it. And I have 20 different variations of how I use the front chokes, and my grips and how I finish them are just way different than the normal person. Like, we got probably 4 guys down here that are super good at guillotines, and none of ours are the same. There's so many different variations. And so for me, like, I don't know, I started guillotining people, and I find the guillotine no matter what. And yeah, man, I don't know. It's a lot of the transitional phases of how I grapple and all that stuff that I ended up there. It's not what I go for right away, but it's where I end up. So
yeah, 100%. Now let's move from past to present a little bit. On the 20th of February, you will face Charles Rosa in the UFC. What do you think about Rosa as a stylistic matchup for yourself?
It's a great matchup, man. I love, like, that's the thing. Like, this is one of the matchups that, like, stylistically it's a great matchup, man. Like, for my style, I like this matchup better than I liked my last matchup. So if that tells you anything, I can't really go into too much detail on how much I love it and what's going to happen, but I do love it, the way this fight's going to play out. So.
Is this fight destined to hit the ground? Because I would argue that both yourself and Rosa are probably, I wouldn't say specialists on the ground, but certainly that is where you predominantly like to fight. Is that fair to say the fight's going to hit the ground?
I'm sure it'll hit the ground. It'll hit the ground when I want it to hit the ground is what's going to happen. And yeah, man, he says he's a submission specialist, but we'll see. He's got how many decision wins, how many decision fights does he have? Yeah, man, it's good. It's going to be good. And yeah, I'm sure it'll hit the ground at some point. If it don't, that's fine too. Cause at some point this MMA game needs to see how good I am actually in the stand-up department too.
100%. Now, something you just touched on then, which I wanted to maybe pick up on, is where you're training. Nowadays, you are training at Glory MMA and Fitness with head coach James Krause. Can I ask, how much has the move down there helped to improve your game with some of the guys, and notably James?
Man, it's crazy. I've always like James Krause that really 100% invested in MMA. He's all invested in your career and how you do. You come first, and making you better in all the departments that he knows you need to excel at. And 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 then he's building the team around the Kansas City area that is freaking awesome. And guys like me are coming down here to train, and he's got a bunch of homegrown guys, and now we're starting to get guys coming in, and like myself from out of town and doing their camps here and stuff like that. So, man, it's a different culture down here. It's he's building something super special, and yeah, I'm just glad to be a part of it.
There's quite a lot of the guys and girls out of the camp who are currently booked. I don't know if you had an idea of this. There's obviously Kevin Kroom, Grant Dawson, Jason Witt, Tim Elliott, and I'm not 100% if she's there at the moment, but Megan Anderson is also obviously booked.
Yep, she is. We have guys starting with Julian Marquez the week before me, and going all the way till April 11th was that coming. So like literally 2 months straight of weekends of one of our guys are fighting. So yeah, it's super awesome, man. I'm definitely happy to be a part of it.
Can I ask as well, is having training partners who also have fights booked beneficial for yourself? Because I would presume you are kind of peaking in a similar time frame.
Yeah, man, and the vibe's good. Everybody just loves to fight. Everybody that you're around, like you get around a bunch of like-minded individuals that just love to win and love to learn and love to get better. You're going to get better, and your mindset's going to be better. And I think that's huge. Mindset's huge in this game, and I think that's what one of the benefits to being around a lot of guys that are on the same path as you does.
Do you think James and his gym glory, MMA and fitness, get the credit they deserve?
Not yet. They will, though. I guaranteed. He's got 14 guys in the UFC roster. I mean, pretty soon there'll be world champions coming out of there, and guys that are killing it in the top 15, top 10 in the UFC. So it's just a building process, man. All these big gyms get the bigger gyms get the notoriety that soon will come to a guy like James Krause, because he's definitely the best or one of the best MMA coaches in the game. So
yeah, I couldn't agree more with that, to be honest. I completely agree. And actually looking at the roster of guys he's got, it's kind of, it strikes me a little bit funny how he doesn't get that credit, because he has a very long list of, as you mentioned, 14 guys in the UFC. That's American top team, or AKA territory.
Yeah, but that's the difference, is like you're talking American top team, AKA, and all these bigger gyms. They got a lot of guys in the UFC, but they're all like a bunch of little teams.
Yeah,
it's like a bunch of little teams training at at different times, they're fighting each other sometimes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like he's building one team and a big squad that's going to claim one school, and like all the American top team guys or wherever you're from, like they just got a lot of little camps, you know what I mean? I feel like, so I think it's a little different.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Darrick, what do you want to accomplish in 2020 or maybe 21? How idealistically, what do you want to get out of the next 12 to 18 month period?
I'm hoping, 4 fights, 4 wins. Couple bonuses, couple finish bonuses. I mean, that's the goal. So we'll start with Charles Rosa.
And that will be my final question. Give me a prediction for your fight on February the 20th.
I'm walking out of that cage with my hand raised. I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I mean, if I had to predict, it's going to be a later round, second round, third round finish. If it goes to decision, I'm a different fighter now, so I can definitely complete those the fights. Unlike used to be where I would go guns a-blazing, and the first round, midway through the second round, like it was me being tired, and it wasn't about my cardio. That was always about my fight IQ and just wanting to kill these guys. And that's why everybody keeps talking about that I fought like 10 losses, 11 losses. Well, yeah, but go look at those fights. for the first round and a half, I'm beating all these guys up, and then it's on myself. So now I got James Krause slowing my game down and putting me in the positions that I need to be in to win fights.
100%. I think as well, it's well documented that one thing we can say with certainty about your career is you have always gone for the finish. And I think that is, fans both recognize.
It's not going to stop though. We're gonna knock out those bonuses. That's what's got me here, and that's what I'm going to keep going for.
Absolutely superb. Darrick, before we finish, how can people find you on social media?
Twitter at Darrick Minner, Instagram Minner145.
Superb. And your fight is the 20th of February on the UFC. Can I just ask, are we sure as to whether it's on the prelims or the main card yet? Is that being made?
I think it's on the prelims. I'm not sure though.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I think I'm midway through the card is the way it looks like right now, but who knows? That all changes. So It's going to be a banger though. I'm excited, man. It's the matchup that I wanted, so we're going to go for it.
Superb. And before we finish, is there anything you'd like to say or sign off with at all?
Nah, man, I'm good. I appreciate your time, brother.
I appreciate your time too, Darrick. Thanks for talking to me today.
Thank you too. Bye.